broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new show on AFTERBUZZTV.com. We are here covering Breaking Ground, the newest show on the WWE Network. I'm Cathy Kelley.
You are.
Joining me for this awesome
Who the hell is that?
experience,
I'm not Ron.
Brandon.
For the first time on an AfterBuzz after
Oh, we're just
show,
gonna break the full thing?
WWE does it all the
Fine,
time.
let's do it.
If they do it, I figure I can get away with it. My name is Brandon Taylor. I am a professional wrestler, and I'm not the hobo.
No, he is not. This is Brandon Taylor.
His other half. You can see him later tonight on the NXT after show.
It is very nice to meet you, Brandon.
It is very nice to meet you, robot.
It's very nice to meet
Sitting
you, robot.
next to Brandon.
Hi, I'm the internet soapbox Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Soapbox Mark Donica. Comment in the live chat. I'm going to be in the live chat. But we got a hell of a show to talk about tonight. The very first real reality show that WWE has done and self-produced without any real outside help.
I want to know your guys' overall thoughts for this series, because we got the 30-minute edition on Sunday and then finally got the real thing Monday night after Raw.
I expected so much from this, and I think I don't know necessarily what I was expecting, really.
Honestly, I think I was expecting the E60 special continued. That's what I was expecting, and it's not that.
You know what I was expecting?
I
was expecting structure. This did kind of go from hey, what are they up to? Oh, what are they up to? Oh, who's that? What are they doing? What's this going on over here? Can we do it didn't. Hopefully, this was just to to throw the net wide, so that we can get an idea about where everybody is. But the way that they presented Apollo was kind of stay tuned, and you'll hear more about him later.
So what I've heard of this show is it's not just going to focus on the people that we saw today. It's going to focus on a lot of the talent that's down there. In the 30-minute version, we saw a lot more of Bailey, which we didn't see as much of in this one that was on the network, the full version.
Yeah, it was just sort of an introduction to her. I mean, we have to basically watch this episode by episode to see how it sort of forms and how it takes shape, because this really is the introductory sort of episode. Here are all these players, and some of them you know, a lot of them you don't know, and so you have to sort of see how it goes. And I expect it'll sort of break down into following one person more per episode than perhaps another person, and that might be structurally a good way to break it down, but for this it's kind of all over the map.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. The first episode and the first couple of episodes, they're going to try to find the voice of it, which is Bill Shatner, but that's not exactly what I meant. I meant the flow of the show and how everything will work out. Do they have all of a season shot yet? I think
it's done.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Okay, so they'll be able to take from us, all of WWE who's watching, and maybe it'll help them maybe structure a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Since this is a brand new after show on AfterBuzz TV, I want to take about 30 seconds to just say, anyone who is watching or listening, please go to iTunes and subscribe to us on there. Type in AfterBuzz TV. You can find the Breaking Ground after show, and then rate and comment and tell a friend, because that's what helps us here at AfterBuzz. It lets other people who may be searching for something similar on iTunes know that it's worth a listen. So do that, and we will be forever indebted to you guys. let's get right into the show, because we saw some talent that we're familiar with. If you guys are watching us for the first time, we also do the NXT after show here at AfterBuzz. So we saw some talent that we have seen on NXT TV before, but there are also some people that we haven't been introduced to yet that we saw in the first episode of Breaking Ground. So who do you think stood out? Were there any people that you were interested to see more of, or?
Now, Noof, who I'm sort of familiar with, sort of being, she's known as being the youngest signee for WWE.
I didn't
currently.
realize that she was only 19, and
Yeah.
that's something I realized she was the first Middle Eastern female signed, or Middle Eastern talent signed to WWE, but I didn't realize her age.
Yes, she's incredibly young. Now, sort of everything that followed from her words and the story that she told about herself, I didn't know any of that. All I knew that she was incredibly young, she was Middle Eastern, from Canada, and that she was signed. That's all I knew. So sort of everything that came out of that was new information that I could sort of use to develop my idea of who she is as a person, and I think it's interesting overall.
That's ultimately the design of this first episode. Is we got the guy who's been in NXT for 3 years. We got the guy who's brand new but already on TV. We're getting all different sides of the spectrum.
And I think that's
with
what
this first cast.
They wanted that to show different points in their career.
But it also gets you, as a viewer, it gets you, I'm really into what Tino's doing. I'm really interested to see if that concussion thing works out. So maybe you're more focused on him as opposed to, Baron guy's kind of a jerk. So it's a way to have somebody like, I'm super interested in Noof, so I'm going to watch to see what happens to Noof. As opposed to, I'll watch it, and I'll maybe skip through, but you're at least getting those people watching who are at least in it for this one. Or like Devin trying to make the transition. The one thing that I do think is a little disappointing is the time difference between the show and up-to-date news on NXT talent and their contract status.
Spoiler alert.
So I'm just going to leave it at that.
But honestly, would that deter you from watching the show knowing what already happens? Like, we do know, spoiler alert, that some of the people that we saw in tonight's episode have been released, and some of the people that we saw may have already gone up to the roster or main roster or whatever it is. We kind of know what to expect, but does that deter you from seeing their journey? Because that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right, and that's sort of wrestling as a whole. It's not the journey, it's the destination. So you sort of know what happens. I mean, even in some of the sneak previews, you see the H talking to Bayley and Sasha about the
Iron Woman match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you already know what happened. You know what took place. Now you get to see everything leading up to it, and I actually think that the documentary side of it is actually more interesting as a whole.
Brandon, you and I were at the Aftershock Music Festival
Were
this
you?
past weekend. Yes.
Sorry, I'm
and
jealous.
we talked to some of the talent down at NXT and some people that are featured on the show, including Bayley and Baron Corbin, and they gave us some insight into filming the show. Bayley specifically told me that it was almost like having a second job because of when the cameras were around, you were still kind of at work. And while this is a reality show, I've even been on reality shows before, and while it's a version of what's going on in your life, you may have to retape scenes 6 times until the lighting is perfect or until they get what they want to tell the story in the way that they want.
Right. I've had an opportunity to do reality as well, and it's
hilarious.
It's taxing.
It's interesting, yes.
It's emotionally taxing because you have to keep the idea of freshness. This has to appear on screen to be 100% authentic, but it's not. None of it really is, and I think that's hard to keep it looking fresh and authentic.
So they pitched the baby before you sat down? Because
No,
your reaction was
they
priceless.
really did pitch the baby when I sat down.
Oh, okay.
They did do that.
It seems like there's a lot more authenticity to a show like this, Breaking Ground, than Total Divas or other reality series that we've seen on television.
It's much less heavy-handed. There's a lot less writing that appears to be going into this.
But do you think that they're upping a different kind of drama and you know, we keep on hearing about these stakes. The stakes are so high, and if you get injured once, you're probably never going to work again. And like they make it dramatic in that way.
You don't have to force the issue.
No, I don't think so either.
This is the most dangerous job in the world.
Oh, completely. And I'm not arguing that at all, but I remember hearing this weekend people talking and saying that Savvy's concussion wasn't a make or break his career injury. Right. And they made it out to be in the first episode.
I think concussions alone, every injury you have is serious enough.
Obviously, yeah.
And concussions alone, if you say the word concussion, there's this ripple effect that happens in a person, let alone an athlete. They go, oh, concussion. So I don't think you need to be heavy-handed about it and sort of make it this all-or-nothing thing and make it so much bigger. I think if you're honest, that's actually better. I prefer documentary-styled things instead of reality-styled things.
Yeah.
So if you're just honest about things, that's always the better way to go for me personally.
I agree.
For ourselves and for fans of WWE or NXT, do you guys think that this is going to change how they do their promos and introduce their talent down there? Because we've seen with talents like Finn Balor, Becky Lynch, Apollo Crews, these behind-the-scenes packages of their life, and that's kind of what Breaking Ground is doing in a larger capacity.
Well, I can agree with that. I can see that affecting everything. They're already doing that with Total Divas. Like this one's a little bit more. I mean, a little bit. This one's more like real and legitimate and just following people. But we haven't seen anybody who's a huge character yet. Like we're not following Bray Wyatt. We're not following Bo Dallas. We're not following Tyler Breeze. Mm-hmm. We're following the people who are
the East 60 special.
Right.
We followed Tyler Breeze, and I think for a lot of fans to see him as a normal dude, as Matt Clement, and then him as Tyler Breeze,
what a weird concept.
Completely polarizing, and I think that a lot of people had that much more respect for him afterwards.
That's kind of what's happening in chat right now.
That's kind of what's happening. Why I'm doing this right now.
Yeah. Which if anyone's ever seen our other interviews, they've seen Brandon Taylor.
I've never talked at this length on screen before. This is completely
Green
different.
Thunder in chat was like, I got used to it in interviews, but this is still freaking me out as an after show. But with this, I think if we see, like, all of this was just kind of a taste test. The first one's free, but you got to pay for the rest. We saw a little bit of promo class. And heard a little bit of Smiley in promo class, but with
Ryan Katz, not to be confused with Norman.
Not Smiley. That's right. That's going to be the problem.
We're going to have to change our vernacular on this show. It's Kathy and
Mojo
Smiley,
Rally, baby.
That's perfect. But if we see more of an actual class, like the stuff that gets leaked online, excuse me, sort of a thing, then. And the characters, because Noof wasn't she also known as like Jasmine? Wasn't that her first name, and then they changed it to Aaliyah?
I think that was her name when she was wrestling elsewhere.
Okay, but Aaliyah, the spelling's different than the Aaliyah that we all know. But in terms,
wanted to make a Muhammad Hassan joke just now.
You need to stop right now. Beg your pardon.
That was hard.
But with. So far, I think we're seeing stuff to the effect of those video packages. And it's just kind of widening the scope of these people or fine-tuning it. Because especially with Baron, with not only the interview that you did, but with this, it's like, oh, this is exactly who this person is.
Yeah.
It's no BS, no anything. This is this person. And it makes me go, oh, okay, cool. Now I know I'm good. I can be more invested in him.
What I think WWE is trying to do with this show and with other things, arguably killing their on-screen personalities by showing them as not those personalities, is they're trying to have these people seen as legitimate actors and entertainers who aren't the characters that they are on screen. So when you see the wrestling show, that's them as the character.
Yeah.
But when you see it not as the wrestling show, that's them as the actor. So many actors do those interviews and separate themselves from the characters that they play. And I think WWE is trying to follow suit in a sense.
Just hit that entertainment home.
They're trying to do something differently than what's ever been done before.
Although we are seeing a more real side, like the genuine side to all of these wrestlers, I think it still can be edited in a way to make them look a certain way. Like,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Baron, from talking to him when he's not on camera, is not a completely different human being, but he shows a lot more personality than he did even on this show.
Well, there's also the difference between talking to someone and working with someone. You can act in a completely different way when you're backstage with your peers, because you don't always see them as peers. You can see them as competition, and he may see other people as competition.
He said it himself on the show that he may not like everybody or run with everybody in backstage, but he respects them all. And that's gonna take him a little bit farther. He sees it as a job, like this is work. We're going to work. You know, you can't. And some people won't make it. You can't get too super attached.
Yeah.
And why bother?
Is that someone that you want to personally, as a fan, get invested in if they're saying it's just a job, though, as opposed to someone who is so passionate about it that this is what they wanted to do since they were a teenager, and there has never been a backup plan. There's never been something that they wanted to accomplish before coming to the WWE. And, I mean, we saw not just Baron, but we saw Sabby, another talent who we haven't been really introduced to in NXT tapings yet, but this was never his plan to come to the WWE. He thought that he was, after he was drafted into the NFL in the second round of the draft, he thought that was what he was going to do for the rest of his career, for as long as he was allowed to do it. And now he has been given this opportunity where his brother, who actually is an indie wrestler, has wanted this opportunity his entire life.
If you want some drama, there's drama right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've got, my older brother has the job that I've always wanted, and he didn't want it.
Which is
to be in the WWE.
I thought you were talking about you personally.
No,
I was
not me personally, but it's that story. You can get him involved if you wanted to. I think it's an idea of mindset. Even from the interview I did with Baron, you sort of get the impression that he's a football player who wrestles, not that he's a wrestler who played football.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the thing that I thought about Corbin, is watching the show, watching the first episode and going, okay, so that's the type of thing that they're trying to, have him get across. But then watching the interview rounded him out a little bit more and made him more, I understand him, and I see what he's trying to do, the type of message he's trying to perform. Because he mentions in the interview that you gotta have respect for who came before. You gotta honor them and try to make advances anywhere that you can. He tried to make that point several times.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make sure that people know, even though I'm new, this is still an amazing business, and I'm proud to be a part of its heritage, and I respect it.
I really liked the conversation that I believe it was Baron Corbin had with Norman Smiley about, Smiley said, you have to believe that you are, what was the word that he used? You have to believe that you are going to make it, or you have to believe that you are special to succeed in this industry.
Right.
And that was kind of the advice that he was giving to Baron of, you came in like that, and I think that your confidence might have gotten a little bit knocked a year after, since you didn't move immediately onto the main roster. And I'm sure he had a lot of people in his ears telling him, hey, you're a good-looking dude, you're 6'8", you're athletic, you're going to be on the main roster in no time. And in your mind, if you've heard that from so many people, you believe it as well.
I mean, he's only been doing this for 3 years. If he thinks he's lightning in a bottle, you've got another thing coming. You've got to do this job long enough to be absolutely consistent before they're going to put you on TV. You need to make sure that every single performance you give is absolutely consistent, and that's what I believe they're looking for before they put somebody on TV, and they take the chance on having somebody in the limelight, the absolute spotlight in front of all of those people. You have to be consistent. And
I look at Tyler Breeze, just showing up on SmackDown. He's been all the way back since FCW.
Yeah.
But that once the Tyler Breeze, like the athleticism was there, then the character came, and then it started really fleshing together. He toured live events for a year and a half. Like
Yeah.
we've been talking like always any day now for a while on the NXT show, but now he's finally starting to show up. Still hasn't wrestled on the main roster, but he's got a match on NXT as of tonight against Samoa Joe.
Well,
right.
This industry is so unpredictable, and you can work there forever. And with Tyler Breeze, how many times have we heard that he almost got fired?
Yeah.
Or let go because his character wasn't where they wanted it to be, or it just wasn't working for the company, or for a multitude of reasons. And he has finally gotten to the main roster, which still, like, there's still so much more to go.
I agree.
Too.
As Noof learned in this episode, card is always subject to change.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a pecking order. There's a natural rhythm to things, and if you're on the bottom, even if you're on the top of the bottom, you can get bumped right back down so fast.
Can we just talk about for a second? I loved how they had a little powwow of, and this person's going to be in the main event of this match. And no, there's just a card somewhere.
Not all the time.
What was weird to me is that
They did that for the
Cass was reading it.
Enzo and Cass were up front. So
That's
speaking of
very weird.
I mean,
Speaking
that was
of pecking
definitely
order,
staged.
though.
That was
Yeah.
100% staged.
But still, if you want to think about a supposed pecking order, Enzo and Cass being the guys who are reading down the card,
Like that puts them all the way up here. They're that is the old guy's spot.
That is the epitome of man. I can't even finish it.
We did get interviews with Enzo and Cass as well. Unfortunately, right now the audio is a little bit wonky, so we're trying to fix that before we upload it. But I just wanted to let you guys know. And a lot of people were commenting on all of the interviews that
And on the current live
audio was not great, and that is because the Aftershock Music Festival placed the media tent 200 feet from the main stage. So we apologize for that. That was the best we could do with what we were given, but still really excited to bring you guys those interviews. So
yeah, I'm really happy that they turned out at all. Seriously.
I'm surprised the Corbin interview came out as good as it did, and that's why it was only 8 minutes and 15 seconds
did go longer,
because it got cut.
Yeah.
It was a 13-minute interview, and it ended so abruptly because everything after that point was garbage.
Yeah.
So it's just what you're going to do. And
the interview was great. The audio was garbage.
Yes,
The interview was great.
yes.
Audio was garbage. And
The guest was he's
to
great.
answer the question, Baron Corbin is that damn big? There was one question on YouTube was saying either Corbin's huge or Hobo is little, and I am not little.
Or help fine-tune their graphics or see the writers. Any of that I think really interests me. And with Sarah and Matt Bloom, it was interesting because they seemed very tough on the talent, but I couldn't tell whether it was just like dry sense of humor.
Well, no, I liked it
too.
because with Corbin and with Sabby, he was busting their balls.
Yeah,
like that made it. Oh, okay, cool. This is still kind of a friendly environment, but there's some joking despite all of the hard work that gets done. Right. That's another thing that I would like to see in addition to what you were talking about.
Those two people, Sarah and Matt especially, they deserve so much respect, and I think that's why they are in this position now in training younger talent is because they've been through it. They know what these people are up against. And I loved Sarah saying that was her passion and that she doesn't want to, be in front of the camera anymore. She wants to train women to be that next level of female talent.
Agreed.
Training is incredibly difficult. To be a trainer is incredibly difficult because
you have to have a lot of patience, I'm sure.
A lot of patience, and the people that you're training, they carry your name for the rest of their career, however far they go. With their ups and their downs, they carry your name. So you try to train people to be the best that they can be because your reputation really rides on how well that they do, and it's really a lot of pressure being a trainer.
Yeah.
And I'm very new to it myself, and it's just some days it's just like, man, this is either it's going to turn out really great or it's going to turn out really terrible, and I don't know which it is yet.
I will say, from not necessarily complete outsider, but some of the first training sessions, just sitting in with you, and you going, hey, what about that? And I was like, I don't know. You've been here for weeks. Just like, but now I just find myself fine-tuning and watching people and watching stuff in actual performances more too. Even just being there, like for Cathy, you can speak on this too. Even just being at training and seeing people work and all of the minute just fine-tuning that people do to make something go, that looked really, really wonky, to being really clean.
Right.
A lot of people don't know this, but Mark and I show up to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's training center probably about once a week, and it's just something that, I mean, I enjoy doing because I feel like I learned so much from just sitting there and seeing other people learn stuff. But
hearing stories.
From only being a wrestling fan, 4 years now, like, I don't know the names of most moves, and I don't really know the psychology as well as someone that's been watching their entire life or has trained to be a wrestler.
You can watch your entire life and not understand psychology.
Oh, yeah.
You can wrestle all your life and not understand psychology.
Have any names you want to point out?
No.
All right.
No, I don't think so.
I want to work someday.
But it's all the different ways of training. Even with just watching the small amount of training footage they had on Breaking Ground was really interesting because of like minor differences in how I train somebody versus how they train somebody, and it's just like, okay, that's really different then.
One problem which I just realized, saw more training on one episode of Breaking Ground than we did the entire season of Tough Enough.
Oh, I was thought you were going to say Total Divas.
Yeah, it's funny that way. I guess they're going to train all the Tough Enough people now because they all got signed. So now they're going to train them. So now they're going to be on a different reality show.
More on that news on NXT coming at 6 p.m. on AfterBuzz TV. Really quick, Motorola, Joey Moda on Twitter says, I'm happy that it's on the network, not on E, so the face-to-face doesn't feel so forced.
I honestly don't think that this show would be on E.
It wouldn't, because it would have too many producers on it.
Although I believe they did use the production company that did Tough Enough?
I have no idea.
Did they mention that when we were in Brooklyn?
What?
That they were doing that?
No, I don't know.
Why?
But I think this show was done very well.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that if it was by the same company or not. Let's talk about some other people we saw tonight. We saw Devin a little bit.
Yeah.
And her talking about how she's trying to transition from being a backstage interviewer to wrestling.
Yeah, and being injury prone, as they were they happened to say about her, that's a big issue.
Let me see.
Wrestlers have to be incredibly durable. If nothing else, you have to be durable. You have to be able to last.
Yeah.
And if you can't have that, then there's really nothing else.
It's crazy because in any other profession, if you were let go because of a thing like that, that's, grounds for...
Yeah, I suppose.
A lawsuit or something.
But I think she should stick with interviewing. I mean, if she knows that she's somewhat injury prone, I know that you want to wrestle. It's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to be in the spotlight. But sometimes you have to do the job of putting somebody else in that spotlight and making them look good.
But do you think that that's something she requested, or was it something that they were like, we would love to see you become more of a well-rounded talent, and we want to see you try out commentary, we want to see you try out wrestling, we want to see you try out this and that and that, because backstage interviewing takes up not much time.
True.
I will say.
Yeah.
The way they prefaced it on the show, that it made me feel as though she wanted this. She requested this, and they were going, we don't think this is a good idea, we don't think this is a good fit, but she really wants to do it, so this is what's happening.
I think they're just trying to push it until they go, we told you, but we've seen other talent do the opposite.
Yeah. And Sarah also really seemed to believe in her. Like, as hard as she was on her, she was like, you're great in class. You're awesome in training. It's just when we get to the live events, you struggle a little bit. And whether that's, I understand, like, when you're in the moment and there's that pressure and there's so much competition, because like Devin even said, there are so many female wrestlers right now in the company that is a mind F sometimes.
No, I can agree with that. It was interesting seeing her work with Nia Jax, though. Just in terms of,
there's only one girl who looks like that.
Yep. But I mean, she had her hair up, so I was like, oh yeah, cool. Everybody in workout mode was interesting to do like a who's who.
Yeah.
Just like, who's that? Oh, weird. All right, cool. Let's say, Alexa. Oh, Bull. Whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of cool to just see people in their element.
Yeah. Let's talk about Apollo Crews, because we also saw him a little bit tonight.
Yes, we did.
What do you think of his segment?
We saw more of him on last week's NXT.
I know, it was a little bit weird.
Somebody in chat, unfortunately I don't remember because it scrolled too fast, said that this is just kind of a way to promote the title match for him being in this first episode. So I don't
necessarily believe that to be true.
I don't either.
Apollo Crews is one of the most heavily featured guys down there, period. So I think he's going to be a huge part of this show because they really like him.
Yeah.
They find him to be a tremendous draw. And so they're going to throw him on this show wherever they feel they can put him in.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about any other talent that we saw on the show, or?
I mean, we only kind of talked about Noof, but I do know there was something because he was texting me. Promo class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us about promo class, Brandon?
So I was watching, and there's that part where Regal's telling everybody, so when you're addressing the camera, you must keep eye contact. That little thing is lost on so many people. So many people lose eye contact with the camera. Eye contact is the most important thing in promos, the most important thing in a lot of just being a wrestler and addressing an audience. And when I heard him say that, I jumped up and screamed, "Thank you!" and threw my notepad on the floor, and nobody was there.
But that's honestly, that's one of the things. Eye contact is terrifying to a lot of people, and when you finally get comfortable with talking to the camera, you're just talking to it as if it's your friend, as if it's a listener in our case.
Just a camera is when I was doing videos pretty regularly. It was just like, I'm just talking to a camera right now.
I'll tell you, the hard part is when I can see myself in the screen, because then my eyes start to dart, and I start to lose what I'm doing. I'm like a bird
you
caught
have
in a
ADHD
mirror.
as well,
So we got that big of a reaction out of Brandon. How much of this show do you think is for the general wrestling training audience? So that they can get that, it's a more widespread way of getting the WWE way of doing things out into the open.
I mean, it's one of those things that's really funny because so many internet fans were like, they should call this breaking kayfabe.
Yeah, well, there's that. It's not necessarily wrong.
Well, you listen
I
to
really
me,
enjoy
internet
that. I mean,
wrestling
if
community.
Everyone is aware that these are characters, but I think that for me, it makes me respect them that much more, because the people that we've harped on in the past were like, oh, we wish we could see just a little bit more out of them. And then you see their how they are in everyday life, and you're like, wow, they are so different. And maybe we'll see the psychology of, people like Baron Corbin, who on our NXT after show, we have said he's kind of dry before. Yeah. And, then we realize that he's actually just holding back because he knows that that's going to create a lot of heat.
No, I've got plenty to say about Baron Corbin when we start on NXT from this past week. But in that same regard, I think that's why Table for Three, another show on the network, which if you're not watching, absolutely everybody should watch.
It's so good.
It's one of the
natural.
few shows I've seen every episode of. It's one of the very few on the network.
I missed the WCW one. I still haven't seen.
That was great. I watched that last night with my wife.
And then there's an NXT one that just came out with Bo Neville and somebody else.
Yeah, it's coming out this week.
So it's tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that also shows people or rather out of the element and talking about road stories and humanizing. Like while I don't like the reality era term, I like the humanizing of everything.
I mean, to me, the best interviews are a conversation, and this takes the interviewer out of it, and you kind of get to be that fly on the wall in a room that I think a lot of people who have bought the network want to be in.
Yeah.
Yes. If you bought the network, or were one of the first people to buy the network, you wanted that behind the scenes stuff. You're probably the same people who watch shoot interviews and really just love all that. They just want the truth behind everything. And I'm sort of an old school mindset. Maybe some less information is better, because you can lose yourself a bit more in something being real, something ridiculous being real, if it's all that you have. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are changing tastes. Maybe this is what people want to see. They want to see the character, but they also want to see the person. And you can actually compromise on both.
Which was weird. Speaking of on that end, seeing Braun Strowman out and about with Max Landis after Hell in a Cell on Sunday was
I didn't see
weird. Well, he posted.
What are they doing? A Master Blaster thing?
No. He posted a picture of them at like a Korean barbecue place, and it's like celebrating with like cooking the remains of the Undertaker or something really silly.
I was
going
to say, was Braun Strowman eating lamb?
That's possible, but he was wearing like a tank top and like a red cap.
gosh.
Sure.
I mean, I still can't believe that we literally ran into him in Brooklyn, and then when we saw him on Raw, we're like, oh, holy crap, that dude was huge.
What happens when a guy like that walks into a barbecue joint? Well, like how badly do you panic? You're gonna eat all my food?
No, that's yeah.
They just immediately have to like call all their distributors. We need 3 refills. Like just
No!
as soon as tomorrow.
Unfortunately, you guys were closing early tonight.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one of the things that happens a lot to wrestlers. If a big wrestler walks up to a thing and they close, it's like right before closing, they'll close early just to be like, I don't want to fill your order, I'm leaving.
Or just give him a very little baby spoon so that he has to go very slowly when he eats.
I will give you this much food. You can eat it with
Just give him chopsticks.
Dude, I mean,
chopsticks make me eat so slow.
It's like
When I'm hungry, I'm like, stop.
Getting
give
a
me
large
food.
soda with like a really skinny straw, like a coffee straw, like a coffee stir.
Coffee stir.
Or a milkshake with the coffee stir. And you
God.
can't
Even
get
drink
it.
that.
It's the worst.
Just pop the top and spill it
Didn't
on your
expect what you were
face.
saying.
Chinese
So,
food, I just take like the whole thing. I'm like,
in chat really quick, Splatter Dream brought up plenty of people listen to wrestling podcasts that reveal all the backstage stuff. They must be popular as there is so damn many of them. So no, but that brings up are they trying to forego the rags?
Yeah.
Are they
I was
trying
going to say a
maybe.
lot of the dirt sheets have as much truth as a reality show would, so maybe even less so.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah.
I am excited to cover the rest of the season of the show because, I mean, like you guys, we're fans of the product.
Yeah.
So,
We're fans of the people, too.
Yes.
Not even just a product.
and wanting to see them, like, genuinely wanting to see them succeed.
right.
And now I'm interested in seeing the variety of people. So I do hope it sticks a bit to, like, we get resolution from the last episode, and then, all right, here's some new people to follow.
Yeah.
Like, here's the people here's the people that have been here a while. Here's Bull Dempsey. Here's who's somebody else that just showed up and is already on TV. Is there anybody who's the last person or Hideo? What Hideo's been up to while he's been injured, or what Sammy's been up to while he's been injured? Even though people say he's just going right back up to the main roster after he's healed.
We'll see about
but
that.
and to follow the new tough enough Daria.
Yeah.
Just
all of the tough enough
all of the
people.
time. Patrick. I want to see Patrick
looks like we're gonna
interact with
see
all these
some
people.
of. It looks like we're going to see some of Josh because we saw
we
him.
saw him signing his contract.
That's right.
Contract signing.
His first day.
I wanted to ask you guys to close out the show who we haven't seen on Tough Enough yet, who you would like to see featured in an episode. And I
Who
also
haven't seen
wanted to
on
open
Tough
this,
Enough yet?
or us. Who haven't
Yeah.
we seen on Breaking Ground yet? Who you would like to see featured? And I wanted to open that up to everyone at home. So
Great
if
way
you
to do
guys
it.
are watching on YouTube, comment below. Let us know who you'd like to see featured. And what about you guys?
Who I would like to see featured is,
Yeah.
is probably Bull.
I mean, we said
because they worked so hard to humanize him and make him interesting that why don't you just do it a little bit more, because he's a great dude.
Yeah.
And because if we're going along with the time period and H is just talking about the main eventing, then Bullfit just debuted. So
Yeah, it's true.
So we would be dealing with like, okay, here's your new thing. Where do we go from here? What do we build on? I'd also like to see Ty Dillinger. I know we're seeing some Jason Jordan just from the preview that we
I want to
saw.
see Gable.
Gable.
Now there's a guy with an
I wanna see
interesting
Alexa.
story.
Mechanics. I would.
Alexa.
I mean, that's the thing is we want to see just little snippets of
Yeah.
all of the people that we're already seeing on TV right now. Like what if they followed Aiden English to his proposal with Shaul Guerrero?
Yeah.
Or I mean, they wouldn't have, or else it would have been a little obvious. But you know, but what if it was something in that vein where we get to see people's like regular lives? Yeah. Like they all go to Disneyland on a day off or something. I
I mean,
don't
they
know.
do that.
Day-
I
Day
know,
off.
I know, but I know I say day off.
That's a cute.
How's your heart? Still dying?
Still die.
Cool. So I mean, I would like to see people that I would like to get behind an NXT, which
Yeah.
is, I think, the other purpose of the show is here's people you haven't seen. Be ready for them when they come out.
Yeah.
Will be fun to recap the rest of the season and watch it. In the meantime, follow us on the Twitters and the stuff like that. Where can they
Yep.
find you?
You can find me at CWFH Training. I'll be posting more stuff on there and stuff.
Yeah, that's your Twitter.
That's my Twitter. That's the training Twitter, and I tweeted my journey up to Sacramento. I didn't do it so much coming back because I was just dog tired. It was brutal.
It's a long weekend.
NXteam.spreadshirt.com is where you buy the shirts.
We've got new stuff up.
We got new stuff up.
Yeah, and actually somebody bought a Solomon Crane.
Yeah!
Which is great, because it's going to be taken down soon.
Come on, get it while they last.
Seriously, you can follow me on Twitter at SoapboxMark. Follow our podcast, The Gimmick Pod. We're going through some changes, some content changes. We're not going to be cursing as much.
I'll tell you, it was hard today not cursing. That
I'm
was
sure.
the most
'Cause you're
challenging
you.
part of
That's
this.
the thing.
Exactly, and I cursed a lot.
NXteam.spreadshirt.com. You can get a Hobo shirt, a Cathy shirt, a Smart shirt, and a whole bunch of silly random designs. Hug Bailey Hug. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be doing NXT in 2 hours. We're moving to Wednesdays. So you're going to have the NXT Team block on Wednesdays. 4 p.m. is Breaking Ground. 6 p.m. is NXT. So make sure you stay tuned to that. What about you, Miss Cathy Kelley?
Watch Championship Wrestling from Hollywood,
Hey.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
on Saturdays. If you are in Los Angeles, it is on KDOC. You can also check it out on YouTube America and Patreon. It's only $2 a month, so a lot of content,
Buy
which
that.
is incredible. You can follow me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley, on Instagram at Cathy Kelley. Also, check out the interviews that Brandon and I did this weekend at the Aftershock Music Festival. We talked to Baron Corbin, Finn Balor, Bailey, and then Cass and Enzo should be up soon. We hope. Cross your fingers. Follow all of us here on Twitter and Instagram at AfterBuzz TV, and we will see you again in 2 hours for the NXT After Show, and next week for the Breaking Ground After Show.
Hey!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.